many squares. It's crazy.
For the Brady Bunch.
and so female heavy. Yeah, this is interesting.
Oh, wait. Most people would love that.
No, that's the smile. That's the smile. Right. Actually, there are a couple other male here. John Baldino, Ronaldo, good to see you as well. Okay, great. So I'm the co-host here in this section. My name is Juan Betancourt. I'm the CEO of Humantelligence. I'm going to just start with a little, overview of what we do in case you don't know what we do, and then I'm going to introduce the case study speaker. ATPCO is a company that's using our solution to really attack many of the problems that many of you might be facing, and so we'll kick into that. So the case study is going to be based around how they created a culture of intention, or some people like to say culture by intention, through inclusion, belonging, and diversity of opinion. So what does Humantelligence do, and how did they use this platform to do that? We help companies measure, manage, and recruit for culture and improve performance. Now, this is not an engagement survey, okay? This is truly what allows you to understand if you have diversity of thought in your company, which, by the way, leads to more diverse outputs. As we know at D&I, it's often not about quotas and affirmative action. Those programs have often failed. It's really about changing the culture of your people so that they end up, selecting, interviewing, and eventually promoting people with diverse thoughts. Now, the most powerful study that came out around culture is this one by Professor Sull last week or 2 weeks ago. Time flies when you run a small company. A month ago. He proved with data in the Fortune 500 that there is no correlation between the official values, right? The culture that companies put on their t-shirts, on coffee mugs, that all the employees have to memorize for that monthly or weekly pulse survey to be able to say that you know the culture, and everybody can say that they know the culture. There's no correlation between that and actual culture as perceived by and lived by employees. Okay, this is important. It's groundbreaking. Why? Because we all spend so much time having everybody memorize what's on the walls of the company and the booklets you hand out when you onboard people. The reality is, and one of the things our company has shown, is you have lots of cultures in your company. The culture of your marketing team is and should be very different than your finance team. And the culture of Starbucks in Miami, where I live, where it's all Latin customers and Latin employees, very different culture than those people up in Boston for Starbucks in the same role. He even went as far as proving that companies that espouse diversity, being execution-oriented, collaboration is important, and customer-centric, of the Fortune 500, most of those companies have a negative correlation. Even agility, which 80% of companies say that they are agile. And by the way, there's something wrong when 80% of companies all have the same values. Like, really, companies actually are quite more different than that. Even that one, only 22 correlation, which is a very weak relationship. And so if it wasn't clear before, drinking the Kool-Aid and saying that we have one culture everywhere, that's not going to solve your problems, and it's not going to drive profitability. With no further ado, the star attraction of our presentation, much more aesthetically pleasing than seeing this, is Stephanie Hassel, again, who is ATPCO's Head of Organizational Development and Learning and Development. Take it away, Stephanie.
Perfect. Thank you, Juan, for the introduction. We've leveraged Humantelligence for five main different ways to work on building a culture of intention. The first way that we did it was team building and using it to create diversity of thought within the teams. We've done coach matching, so we used Humantelligence to identify who is a good coach for some coachees in our company, and we've done used it to better collaborate between individuals and teams. It's used to create more belonging, and we've even used their remote scorecard that they created at the beginning of COVID-19 to kind of gauge our ability for remote work and our likability for remote work. The first way that we were able to use Humantelligence to create diversity of thought within groups is that some of ATPCO's teams have independently used it to create more well-rounded teams with a focus on having more diversity of opinion. They used Humantelligence to leverage the strengths of individuals, and they used it to build up and create more strengths around weaknesses. One of our bigger projects was coach matching. As a little bit of background for this one, ATPCO has traditional organizational hierarchy, but one of our divisions is finishing up right now a transition into becoming a matrix division. In that transition, they, of course, are leaving behind the idea of the traditional manager, and they're opting for a whole division to report to one of the directors. This is the large division, so in order to keep the employees actively pursuing their career development and their career progression, we decided to have high performers become formal peer coaches, and to make assigning the coaches that the directors picked out to their coachees easier, we used Humantelligence. How do we do it? We created a job posting where the coachees were the internal applicants using their talent fit program. We also then had the coaches listed as the managers for the entire program. So we made spreadsheets, we compared the fit scores of the people to their managers or their coachees, and the coachees with the job applicants, and we were able to compile the scores to assist the best matches, to assign the best matches, sorry, and we deployed the matches in mid-July. So once the peer coaches were finished training, and then we've received some feedback that the matches are going really well. I'm excited to see what this is going to look like in a few months also. We've learned that HT's assessment also measures for behavior, work motivators, and work energizers. If you wouldn't mind pushing it forward one slide, please. Thank you. So we socialized the idea of these behaviors, work motivators, and work energizers as an idea to compare personas. So it's created a way for employees to collaborate more easily and give them a better understanding of how their coworkers process and think about things. One example for me is that I used Humantelligence to look at my Chief Human Resource Officer's profile before I went into a meeting with her, and that way I could be sure to present the data that to her in a way that makes sense and is easy for her to synthesize and analyze. I've also used Humantelligence to do this with my manager, my mentor, different teams that I work with regularly. So it's something that's been really helpful for me in order to create programs for people. And I will say for ATPCO, we actually, I just checked it a minute ago, we have 78% of the staff who've completed it. And I've heard nothing but good things from those who've talked to me about it.